My name is Sonali McDermid, and I'm an assistant professor of environmental studies at New York University. And I'm a climate modeler by training, and I look at the impact and evaluate the impact of climate change on agriculture, but also of agriculture and land use on our environmental systems. And so I've been at NYU for 1 year now and hope to continue. GMOs have been both, of course, controversial for good reason, but also incredibly beneficial, but most of them have been developed for grains and products that we're not directly eating. And so one of the things that you could argue is that while GMO technology is really interesting and something that could be beneficial if it was regulated properly, right, and we really evaluated what the impacts were with long-term studies, if we were responsible about it, GMOs could be really useful, but right now they're just not being used to feed humans, right? And that's not an efficient use of the technology, in my opinion, right? It would be so much better if we could stop making GMOs that go, aside from frying oil, that go into feeds and other things like that, other types of processing, and start looking at GMOs and taking data and understanding the impact of GMOs for food crops. Now, of course, there's such a stigma against that. Nobody wants to eat genetically modified crops, right? Particularly in Europe and here, and I can understand where that stigma comes from, but we just really don't have the data right now to tell us much of anything, and until we have that, it's kind of difficult to completely deny a technology because of that. And of course, I don't think it has to be in conflict with organic farming or any of these other types of things. Those are all good. Those all we kind of need to bring all of these solutions to the table. Now, in terms of some other technologies, I think the issue with a lot of technologies is, what is it being used for, right? Is it being used to feed people? Is it being used to further food security? Or is it being used more along the lines of industry profit? And I think most technologies fall in that latter box. And until we start applying brain power to crops that feed humans, which is being done slowly and surely, and this is actually taking place a lot along the sub-Saharan Africa, we may not be exploiting these technologies. We're exploiting these technologies to basically meet our expectations of really important commodities. But food should never be a commodity, right? Food should be something that's a right for everyone. And the spread and the use of these technologies, I just don't think it's not as egalitarian as it should be. It's not going to the right places in the way that it should be. It's moving in that direction, but it's not quite there yet. So it's hard to evaluate which of these technologies is the best or most efficient and most promising when we're not putting the bulk of the work in what I think is the right place, and that's feeding humans, and that's not necessarily through increases in meat. So that's what I'll say, yeah.